Hi everybody, this is Dominique. I just wanted to check in about the assignment on your topic and the references that you'll be collecting this week. So last week you provided me with 3 different options of what your final topic will be. The topic you settle on won't necessarily dictate what your capstone project is, but it will definitely help to inform your capstone project. What we're looking to do for capstone is the requirements will be fairly general, and it will be some type of scholarly contribution to the profession of athletic training. And that might look different for each person depending on what setting you're in and what type of project you want to tackle. It may be in the form of an original experimental study, or it might take on the form of a critically appraised topic or a professional presentation. We're going to have some flexibility in that. So I don't want you to get caught up right now in your topic selection, thinking that whatever you pick now will completely dictate your capstone experience, but it should help to inform your capstone so that we have a good launch point once you hit next semester. So as for the topic itself, we want to be pretty general with them. I don't want you honing in on something that is a specific research question at this point. So a good example might be, looking at, let's say you're interested in Graston. You might want to look at what the effects of Graston is after an ankle reconstruction. If you went into specific reconstructions, for instance, maybe the Brostrom or modified Brostrom, that might be a little too specific for this point in time. And even with Graston, we may want to push towards a more general soft tissue instrument-assisted mobilizations. And then that way we're not kind of pigeonholing ourselves into that one specific area. So as we develop our topic, I'm going to encourage you guys to be general enough that we can collect enough resources to have a really robust review of literature. So the assignment for this, we're going to be looking at a 25-point assignment, and we're really going to try to create a comprehensive list of different resources so that once you actually start creating your structured outline, you already have a good amount of articles that you can start inserting into your structured outline so that when you begin writing your review of literature, you don't have to go back to the databases quite as often. If we start off with a really solid chunk of research, it makes the writing process a lot easier, and it helps you kind of form your thoughts ahead of time. So what this assignment will do is, first we need to define your topic, and we're going to look at what your independent variable may be. This is in general terms. So for the example I just gave, our independent variable would be instrument-assisted soft tissue mobilization. We want to see how that affects something. And this something, for maybe an example, is ankle range of motion. Sometimes people might want to look at swelling or pain or a variety of other somethings. That measurement piece, so ankle range of motion, would actually be our dependent variable. Again, it's very general. We're not specific to dorsiflexion, inversion, eversion, plantar flexion. We're not at that point yet. When we start further defining our research, then we'll kind of narrow that topic. But for now, we want something that is fairly general so we can collect enough information to support that review of literature. Once you have those pieces defined, what I'd like you to do is keep a running list of the key search terms that you're using. So for my example, I might use Graston, I might use soft tissue instrument-assisted mobilization, I might use range of motion, I might use dorsiflexion, plantar flexion. We might go broad, we might go simple, ankle range of motion. So there's a variety of search terms that you may use. It's a good practice to keep track of these search terms, because if you do a search on Monday and then you collect a bunch of articles and then you want to continue to do your searches on Wednesday, sometimes you forget what you've already done, and we don't want to necessarily repeat that. So keep a list of those search terms, and then what you'll do is that piece will be turned in with this assignment. We'll also do a reference list. I got to tell you, I started off with 25 peer-reviewed articles. My husband talked me down. He said 20 is probably a little more manageable. So we're at 20 peer-reviewed articles that you'll collect. And again, they do not need to perfectly align with your topic. You'll have articles on maybe Graston. You'll have articles on soft tissue mobilization. You'll have articles on the ankle and range of motion, but they may not all be specifically on your topic. What we need is when we actually construct our paper, the first section, as described by your text, will be related to that independent variable. The second section will look more at the dependent variable, or what we intend on potentially measuring. And then the third section is this critical research where it combines the two. And those are gems of articles. We really want to find those, but typically we don't find as much literature on these things as we would like. And that's because we want to explore maybe a gap in the literature or something that's controversial. So you often don't find as many resources that are specific to your topic. But we do want to collect information on that ancillary pieces, so looking at kind of each piece of the puzzle. And what we'll do is those will all contribute to your review of literature. And it's okay to have multiple articles on the same thing. What that does is it actually strengthens our case when we cite a fact. Then we can actually list, 4 or 5 authors that all support that one fact that we've provided in our writing. So we'll do 20 peer-reviewed articles at this point. When you actually start writing, I would anticipate that many of you will get, upwards of 40 articles that you cite in your review of literature. What we'll do is always APA format, so the same thing as from our evidence-based practice class. And at the end of the citation, what I'd like you to do is note whether you think this article would best fit with the independent variable section, the dependent variable section, or both. Once we begin the writing process, this will actually help you by coding each of these articles. It'll keep you organized and it'll help start to frame your thoughts in your structured outline. All right. So I wanted to go back real quick and just remind you of the resources that we have. I know we did go over this for the evidence-based practice course, but make sure you're using our own library resources. So you can go on to Brennan Library. We have research tools. We can go into articles and databases. We'll do is, for us, we can start with Sport Discus if you like. That's usually a pretty good resource for what we're doing. If your topic has to do with psychology, you might start looking at other databases that include psychology. Your library card number, this is typically on the back of your student ID card. If you have trouble logging in, feel free to email me or the library staff. And then we'll conduct our search. If you'd like to add on additional databases, you can go into the Choose Databases, and we can add in additional databases for our search. If you're looking at something psychology related, I would definitely encourage you to put in the psych articles. And make sure you select the rehab and sports medicine source. This is a new database that we've been using, and it really is excellent for what you're going to be researching. So I would encourage you to make sure you click that box as well. All right, so we'll throw in a couple additional databases. All right. And then we'll run our search, okay? So let's say our search terms, ankle range of motion, and we'll just do soft tissue mobilization, okay? And we'll see what comes up. So we got 1 of 1, all right? So that's a pretty specific search. So with this, we actually may want to expand our search terms to try to encapsulate more articles and more resources. But this right here, we see that is a pretty close case report. So it would be something that I'd want to consider keeping. We can also change our Boolean phrases. So instead of going and to make sure we have both those terms in there, we could go or. And then what we do is we see that hopefully now we have 1 through 20 of 2,000. So all of a sudden we go from having 1 article to a lot of articles. All right. As we went over, we have these resources on the side so we can make sure we go, we want scholarly articles. We can shrink the timeline. So if we want more recent articles, that would be helpful. And then we can actually look at some of these additional thesaurus terms that you may want to incorporate into your key term search. And that may help you narrow your search as well. So what we want is really 20 articles that relate to the topic that will help you in writing this. And I'm going to encourage you to read these articles now. Obviously, I can't check to see if you did your reading, but if you read and highlight, print them out, read and highlight now, and get really familiar with your topic, it's going to be a lot easier for you when you start writing. Opposed to you collect, 40 articles, and then all of a sudden you try to start writing and you realize that you haven't read any of them. So make sure you start your reading now when it's manageable and kind of chip away in that sense. If you guys have any questions about searching for these articles, what might be quality versus what may be something that we shouldn't really use, make sure you shoot me an email. But we're really looking for original experimental studies or meta-analyses. We want those primary sources. Metas are great. If you can find a meta that really talks about your topic, that is like the golden ticket. And then what you can do is you can actually look at some of the resources that they cited and track back. All right, well, let me know if you guys have any questions, and have a great week.